Um, like I just said, I was under the impression that the paternity test that was performed on Zeus, I was under the impression that it was authentic. However, it came to my understanding that it was not authentic. It
So
was
when
not.
did you find out? When did you find out that he could potentially be yours?
Um, so I've been more vocal on the internet.
So you mean to tell me Chrisean's ex-boyfriend passed away? Is this raising flags for anybody else? Because the timing is weird. Was it the allegations? Was he talking too much? I don't know, it just felt like a setup. Like, is that really his baby?
Be the reason why other passengers that you have in your car come to their untimely death. You would rethink what you're saying. People oftentimes take their life for granted. They take their freedom and their liberties for granted.
After months of claiming to be Junior's biological father, her ex-boyfriend Ronnie's death under questionable circumstances nearly sent the internet into a frenzy. The murmurs had ceased to exist. No longer were the rumors a joke. No one dared to suggest that Chrisean might have been more involved in Ronnie's fate than anyone had initially believed. And more individuals than ever before started to trash her, bringing up her name during a police investigation. Additionally, it didn't help that in the days leading up to his death, Ronnie had been adamant, strong, and opinionated about getting a DNA result. He yelled numerous profanities, claiming that his son was Junior and not Blueface. Additionally, he was sick of being misinformed, excluded from the narrative, and having Chrisean act as a truth's gatekeeper. Chrisean, however, declined to turn in the test as she usually would.
To have that proven to me through what? A DNA test. If Junior is not my son, the DNA test will prove that. Right or wrong? Right. Any father on here, any real man, stand-up man that potentially has the privilege of being a father would want to make things right and would want to know if that's his child. Yeah. Around that time, you know what's up. Chrisean was back and forth from what? LA to Baltimore. LA to Baltimore. Y'all know that. Every single last one of y'all know that. She told y'all out her own mouth. I'm not here to expose nobody. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all, oh, why is Tasiki and Sean not cool? I'm not going to tell y'all that. I'm not going to tell y'all that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I want to know if...
She stalled, diverted, and silenced him to make him seem like a stalker. Ronnie left almost too easily before he ever had the answers he had fought so hard to acquire. In the light of what had happened, the situation seemed far more suspicious. Ronnie's death was not an accident, according to the authorities. This was no odd accident. It had nothing to do with being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was him. About 25 minutes outside of Baltimore, where Chrisean was born and raised and still maintains ties to people whose names haunt the shadows of the city. He was found sleeping in front of a house in Maryland. First responders rushed to his aid, did everything, provided emergency care, and transported him to a hospital. But the harm was already done. His death occurred shortly after his arrival. It was promptly labeled a homicide by the police. Someone was interested in Ronnie. Someone stopped Ronnie from requesting the DNA test over and over. And whether directly or indirectly, someone tugged the threads to make it happen.
Yeah. Junior right here. Weird as a...
You
weird as...
me at the
You
moment.
weird as shit.
What's wrong?
You weird as shit. Nobody stalking you. That's my son. That's my fucking son. That's my fucking son. What you want to do?
Excuse me.
What do you want to do?
I'm calling the cops.
I don't give a f. Call him. Nobody touch you.
Go to the cops.
Call him.
Go.
Yeah.
Go. I'm calling the cops. That's weird as shit. Don't the cops.
You ran behind them. I'm trying to holler at you like a dog. You police. You a police.
Hey, time to go.
You a police.
Time to go.
You a police.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I need you out the... But I don't give a f*** you talking about, okay? I need you out the mall, okay? I need you out the mall. I need you out the mall, okay? I need you out the mall. Okay. I need you out the mall. Okay. Let's go this one. Okay. Let's go this one. I need you out the mall. Let's go this one. All right. Let's go this one.
You have been following Chrisean for a sufficient amount of time. You will understand why people are picking sides. For her, Baltimore is more than just her hometown. There's her stronghold. She has connections there who are known for settling problems their own way, who don't play fair, and who don't back down from disputes. Because of this, when there were reports that Ronnie wasn't supposed to die, and that the intention was just to scare him,
Hey, just give him what he asked for so she could get rid of him. That's what I would do. I would give him that test that day and the results too. Now, be gone. Cause just imagine if she give him that test, she don't never have to talk to him again. Cause y'all already know I know it's my baby. I don't play like that. Y'all see, y'all don't hear me saying nothing. How bad I wish I could, honey. I don't say nothing.
Perhaps rough him up. Perhaps you could jump him to force him to back off and stop chasing Chrisean. People believed that with ease. If that was the plan, however, it went too far. It's too far. Ronnie is also no longer hushed. For a while, his silence was permanent. Devastated and furious, his family immediately went public. The suspicions were dispelled by his uncle's moving Facebook tribute, which served as a reminder that this was more than just a clickbait tale. This man was really gone, even at 24. He wrote, "I've been crying all night in writing." Because Ronnie should have been buried by his uncle, not the other way around. Ronnie was the closest thing he had ever had to a son, he said before his own son Elijah was born. Losing him, he said, was as devastating as losing his own father. He gave Ronnie the assurance that justice would be done and that the family would not give up until the issue was settled. Additionally, his words were infused with pure agony. Ronnie wasn't just a tale in the news. Prior to his death, he was a son, a nephew, and a friend. However, the internet started doing what it does best, connecting people, spreading ideas, and causing chaos while his family was in mourning. The fact that everyone knew Chrisean and Ronnie's past was more than a small event put her in the center of it all. It was a filthy and boisterous public event. For months, Ronnie insisted that Junior was his son and not Blueface's, and he had been asking for a DNA test in order to catch Blueface and secure her position by his side, he said. Chrisean was lying by manipulating the baby. He didn't just say it in secret, either. Interviews
Charges she's trying to put on me because she's trying to put charges on me to evade a DNA test.
She is? How could you evade a DNA test?
Get me locked up so that since I'm the one requesting the paternity test, the court can ignore it. If I'm, well, I've never personally been through this situation, so I don't know. But I would assume if I'm locked up in jail, it would be easier for her to evade the paternity test because the court is ordering that it be done. So if I'm in jail, who's gonna request the paternity? You don't have your rights when you're in jail.
In jail. I mean, I know you probably don't know. I don't know if you've been in jail, but they do give paternity tests in jail. But that's neither here nor there. So how come you waited this long to like say anything? Because Junior is like a year old now.
He's 15 months. Like I just said, I was under the impression that the paternity test that was performed on Zeus, I was under the impression that it was authentic. However, it came to my understanding that it was not authentic. It was not.
When did you find out? When did you find out that he could potentially be yours?
So I've been more vocal on
in malls and other places alike. He yelled it whenever he could corner her, even though she tried to pretend he was just some crazy stalker bothering her. There was video of him yelling at her that Junior was his. Ronnie shouted in the background as she pretended to be the victim, saying that he wasn't following her, and she even filed a police report against him. He was fighting for nothing but his child. He wanted people to accept his truth. He wished to be respected for his role. He searched for evidence by critiquing Chrisean and writing on the lengths individuals will go to in order to defend a lie. He even articulated it in his own words online, thereby shielding him from Junior and obscuring his identity. With the arrival of Blueface's mother, Carlissa, things became much more frantic. As usual, she called Chrisean out without hesitation, and this time was no exception. Simply put, Chrisean stated she should give Ronnie the test and be done with it if she was so certain. Junior was a member of Blueface's family, considering that once the results were known, he would have no justification for troubling her again. To ultimately get rid of the man, Carlissa basically informed the internet that she would have given him the test that same day. Her meaning was obvious. You should only keep avoiding the DNA test if you are unsure of the results. Moreover, Chrisean's sustained avoidance merely strengthened Ronnie's argument. I just didn't pursue it sooner, Ronnie acknowledged on his own, because he thought the DNA test that Chrisean and Blueface performed on Zeus Network was authentic. Initially, he believed so. It seemed real to him, but eventually he began to suspect that the exam was a fake, a staged test, and a whole fabrication. He then began to speak up more, insisting on being examined himself and putting in more effort than previously. Moreover, He claims that that is when Chrisean began to behave suspiciously. He alleges she attempted to have him imprisoned by fabricating accusations against him, in order to have the courts disregard his demands for a DNA test in the event that he was in jail. She was playing, he vowed. Junior should remain behind bars, have his reputation damaged, and have his paternity hidden behind red tape. He disseminated the narrative, whether it was real or not, and many people fell for it. Thus, when he abruptly died, all those connections came together to form a single, massive conspiracy. Hold on a second, they announced. He just asked for a DNA test. Just now. He went public once more. After putting some pressure on her, he left. Accusations soon followed the murmuring. Internet users say Chrisean had to get involved, but he had to do it dishonestly. They claim she likely convinced some Baltimoreans to deal with Ronnie, without expecting any to go too far. It wasn't just a coincidence, they noted, that he was shot so near the house where she grew up. She had connections with people who could do it with ease, they recalled. Moreover, she was suddenly being portrayed as a potential mastermind rather than merely an unhappy ex. Chrisean did not remain silent, of course. She responded by sharing a post from 2023 claiming that, according to a DNA test, she was Junior's biological mother and Blueface was his father. Instead of criticizing her, she advised that people report what they know to the police, shared a picture of Ronnie with his music playing in the background, and offered her sympathies to his family. That was sufficient proof and respect, in her opinion. However, because people couldn't get the time right, it felt like the internet came too little. Too late. Why didn't she present that test to him while he was alive if she had it all along? Why wait for the paperwork to be obtained after his death? She appeared to have a premeditated plan to quiet him for good before removing the proof. After the event, things became considerably more problematic when the Blueface rumor started to circulate. Apparently, he was genuinely celebrating Ronnie's release from prison. People found it surprising. He never had an argument with Ronnie. Ronnie wasn't the problem. Chrisean was. So why would Blueface be so joyful? Since he and Chrisean were together while she was still seeing Blueface, indicating that Blueface knew the truth. Rumors claim Ronnie had every reason to think Junior was his. That explains Ronnie's self-assurance, his persistence, and the possibility that Blueface will view Ronnie's passing as one less issue to handle and one less competitor disparaging his family would be explained by that. The notion that Blueface was grinning as Ronnie's family buried him, whether or not the allegation was accurate, added to the unattractiveness of the situation. Ultimately, Ronnie was only 24 years old. Demonstrating his paternity by lying on the ground in Maryland and pleading for a chance was not a respectable way to leave. He looked possibly too hard for solutions that were constantly elusive. What he most desired, confirmation, was never given to him, even as he was dying. Did he truly have a son in Junior? Or was he just one more man enmeshed in Chrisean's obsessive behavior? For sure, we will never know. This story is particularly unnerving because of this. It's not only about losing a life, it is a question that remains unanswered. As usual, the internet was divided into factions. Ronnie was the father, according to some, because of his perseverance, his self-assurance, and even the fact that Junior looked like him. They said she would have put Chrisean to the test right away if he had nothing to conceal. Others, who believed Ronnie was unstable, inattentive, and only hurting himself, backed her up. The voices that stressed the obvious, however, were the loudest. It was impossible to overlook the peculiarity of the time of his demise. He put too much pressure on it, almost told the truth, and then he was gone.